All right, part 2 of our December Jan checklist playbook. We actually run a short course on this. It's super interesting. We spent 4 weeks really delving into it. So lots of stuff going on here, but yeah, very, very, very interesting. A time of year where it can make you or break you. And in the first podcast, we spoke about the importance of sort of penning the schedule and working out what you can and can't do before Christmas, and being on the, I think in that you just want to be on the right side of what you can do. You don't want to be stretched and like Stretch Armstrong all the way up till Christmas. I can't get anything done. Nah, you know.
Just getting a bit of awareness around.
Yeah. So coming into the break January time, I'm a massive believer. If let's talk about the break, I think from this point here, so the timestamp this, it's late October. You want to basically go, okay, when are we stopping and when are we starting? That's first and foremost. And I think on here, that's important to work out what staff have got what annual leave accrued. I'm a massive believer. I would try not to let anyone get into negative annual leave if it was possible. The only disclaimer here would be you just have this weapon tradie start, and they start in November or December. They've got 2 young kids, and you're like, hey, and they're like, I really need the money over the break, but we're going to Crescent Head, surfing and camping, and then maybe let them get in there a little bit into the negative. But like generally speaking, they get 4 weeks annual leave a year, 9 or 10 public holidays, depending on what state you're in, and it's their responsibility and your responsibility to guide and govern that. Anyone taking leave without pay, just to so you know what it does, how you work out your billable hours is you get your operating expenses, which include your admin expenses, and divide it by how many hours go through, like billable hours go through your company, so field hours, trading apprentice. And to lower that amount of hours and just gift leave without pay, let's say Jono's going to Europe to get his Speedos on and go to Croatia and sail down to Split, and he's there for one reason and one reason only, and you know what that is. Savage Garden playing. I was in Croatia, I swear they just play Savage Garden on repeat. It was like the best thing.
At the beach bar.
Dreams come true. So like, you know, and you take that month off and you want to be this accommodating boss. Oh, cool, Jono, yeah, go and do your thing and Split. We're so happy for you. And you know, he gets super tan, comes back, but you just lost 146 hours. So you thought your overhead was $30 to $35 per hour. It's actually 40. That kind of stuff can be quite dramatic in the end of year. So, or the end of month, definitely. End of job, definitely. End of year, definitely. So just be careful when you think you're Oprah. You get a car, you get a car, you get leave without pay, you get leave without pay. No, if you know what it does and still make the decision and cool with it, I'm not cool with it, but you got to know what it does to that. So you got to work out when they're stopping, when they're starting, who's got what annual leave on the play. Now, I built this really cool calculator which will determine how much money you need in the bank to basically live through that. So don't forget, here's the thing. Here's a great situation. Went through with someone yesterday. Let's say you're getting 30 grand on average invoices in a week. So, and you're not working for 3 weeks over the break. That's $90,000 that will usually be coming in. That's not coming in. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I didn't work, so why would it come in? There's, you know, I'm not spending money on all this other stuff. Cool. I'm just reminding you, if you're using your cash flow as cash, right? And how do you know you're doing this? If you get to the end of the quarter and you're like, oh, my BAS, oh, it surprised me. Oh, my tax, oh, it surprised me. It means you're using what's coming in as part of your day-to-day paying wholesales, paying wages or whatever. So you just got to be aware that there's 90 grand not coming in. Also on that, you might have 40K of wages that still need to go out because annual leave still needs to get paid at that point. So you've got money that's not coming in. You've got money that's still going out. Your operating expenses don't go anywhere. Your staff wages don't go anywhere. Your admin wages, if you've got someone on, you know, part-time, full-time, don't go anywhere. So you've got to know how much money you need in the account. And that is important to know because it's like come the 20th, 21st, 22nd of December, all invoices have to be out. You don't go on holidays until your invoices are basically sent because you need that money coming into the break because you've still got outgoing. So I remember that caught me off guard. I was really busy in December for the couple of the early years and got to Christmas. I was like, oh, Christmas, give me the ham, baby. I want the ham. Or the vegan ham, depending on where you sit on the circle of life, Elton John style. And I remember going, oh, we've got no money. I need to invoice, and let's just face it, no one's checking emails and paying you on the 28th of December. It's probably not going to happen. So you try, it's no point chasing because it's not going to come in. And then, so I made that cardinal sin, you might say, of just being not prepared invoice-wise. So that's important. Coming into the break, your invoices are sent. Follow up to that. This is the other thing. I was always like, we had this caravan in Werri Beach, so like South Coast, New South Wales, beautiful town, beautiful beaches down there. And I'd be like, we'll go to Werri for like 1 or 2 weeks, and I'll come back on the 15th, 16th, and all this kind of stuff. More often than not, I was coming back on the 5th. I just hadn't realised yet. So it was like, come the 3rd, the phone's ringing, when you come on this, what are you doing here? All these opportunities that I should have been chased up, as we said in the first podcast, in November. I should have been in November, December, aware of what was coming up in January. I wasn't aware, I wasn't planned. I was loosey-goosey, starting the 15th of Jan. Now all of a sudden it's the 5th of Jan. Elodie was expecting me to be on holidays. I'm actually strapping the boots on. Actually, there's no laces on them, on the ones I used to wear. I was just putting the boots on, going to work, see you later, see you at 5 p.m. And that's just like, and that could have been rectified and solved had January been booked in come the end of the break. So a couple of things that I want to timestamp. Invoices must be sent by the 20th, 22nd, whenever you're finishing. That's important. All annual leave must be, reconciled accordingly, so we haven't touched on this one, but all staff need to know who's working over the break. But the other one is kind of like, January needs to be booked in. January has to be booked in by mid-December, in my opinion. Like, it has to be more or less 80% booked out, because you want to have the best year ever. How do you have the best year ever? Have the best January ever. Discuss. Cam.
Yeah, I think December's like getting it really interesting sorted is around. Obviously, what you touched on there, the knowing the dates. The invoices is huge. Like, I've made that cardinal sin a couple of times, if I'm being honest. Like, you sort of just, I think, get yourself to the finish line and sort of just fall over as such, without really taking anything into consideration. One thing I found too with December, when you're shooting out the invoices, is like, no one is upset if it's sent and the work's getting completed the next day or two, particularly if it's like a quoted job. Say it's like the builder and you're finishing the fit off and all that sort of stuff. It's okay to send it if they're wrapping up in a day or two. And it really comes down to a lot of communication as well. Because you've got to think also too is that the client who you're sending it to, they genuinely want to pay the bill, right? And they don't want to be paying it over their Christmas break either. So just have a pick up the phone and have the conversation with them. Hey man, I'm just going to send this now. Hey man, what date do you need it by? Hey mate, just when do you want it by? I can get it sent to you whenever you need it to. It could be hey man, can you send it to me at the start of the week? I know you're going to be finishing it, at the end of the week, but can we just get it sorted and squared away? And so it's just about having that conversation. All these little things can start to trickle. It could be like, hey, we're putting in a $20,000 bill and we're finishing it a couple of days before Christmas, and bang, it's paid before you even go on leave, because they want their things done. As opposed to you're waiting 4 weeks till they get back.
Just to double down on what you said, let's say you were halfway through a rough-in or a job with a 20 grand progress claim that you knew was going to be, finish on the 22nd, have that conversation, pick up the phone, be like, hey, this invoice is coming to you on the 22nd. I'd rather it came to you now. Is that okay? My invoices went out every single Monday regardless. If we had a progress claim, let's say I was roughing in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I would send that progress claim halfway through the roughing, call and be like, oh, hey, just say we're halfway through, or, it's coming out, you're here, and we'll be finished Wednesday week or whatever. There's nothing wrong with getting that thing out a little bit earlier. There's nothing wrong with that, especially with think about who you want to do business with, long-term clients, right? What are long-term clients like? Transparency and honesty, and it's you're working together for the common good. Anyway, I interrupted you because I was excited.
No, that's right. Yeah, so invoice is a big one. The other one too to have a look at is, this is probably, I don't know why it sort of bothers me for whatever reason, and I know we touched on it in sort of part one, is just around booking your Christmas party in.
Do you do a night or a day, or what do you do?
So we generally do a well, we've done the races this year, and we've done that previously a couple of years ago. So it's just a race day on a Saturday, which is like and this year ends up being like a twilight meet. So it's sort of like after, sort of later in the day, I think 1 o'clock kickoff to sort of 6 o'clock sort of thing. And that's it. And that works. And I know different people do different things.
It's not financially to put it on a Saturday because you still get your billable hours on.
We still get your billable hours in. I know that, but we just work it that way.
A couple on the Friday of like 10 to 12 staff. So you're not getting like 10 to 12. Well, you're not getting, let's face it, 96 billable hours in that day at $100 an hour. That, like, you know, on average with tradies and apprentices, that adds up. And
100%.
And then plus you're paying. So I remember doing this Christmas party and having a few beers and looking around. And I'm pretty sure this is like a 15K day, which is fine. It's cool with it if that's what it costs. But it's just interesting to be aware of, you know.
Aware. And I think probably why I'm big on it is book it in early so that you can give people notice. B, it doesn't like it's known, as in so like it's hey, this is what we're doing, this is where we're going. Because if you sort of don't do anything, and I've seen it happen before, everyone's like, oh, we'll just do it like the last day of the year. You know, and then next thing, like the last day of the year is like, we've got a million things to do. And then it sort of can become a little bit half-assed in a way sort of thing, maybe, or like seems a little bit disjointed sort of thing. Because it's a really good way to say, thanks everyone, thanks for a wicked year. Have a great break. Let's enjoy ourselves, sort of thing. It sort of creates like no pressure when the date's in the schedule, sort of thing. I've always personally like sort of done it on the sort of evening side of things, or on a like if we do a race day sort of meet, something like that. Just do it then. And we sort of like full disclosure. We literally just went through it the other day, so it's now October. So end of October, January. We actually plan all of next year. So I actually already know the date for our Christmas party next year in 2026.
That's like
2025.
Killer-esque.
Because it helps. And then the other thing too is like we already know like our Christmas New Year break for the following year. It just helps to know, because doing these little things helps you be planned, so you're not being like, oh no, I've got it, what are we doing, like who's on call, like, well, we need someone on call. I'm like, this is what we're talking about here. So if you can get yourself organised and you're looking at the dates, people are aware. Also too, like the thing I like being known about the date, and I know I'm probably harping on about the Christmas party a little bit here, but I genuinely, as a business owner, I want my staff there. I want them to enjoy it, I want them to interact, and I actually probably take a little bit of offence to it if people don't come.
I never had anyone not come. It's a non-negotiable. But I actually always put it on a work day. I can't remember where I didn't put it on a work day, actually. Like, it was always on a Friday for me, because I personally didn't want the guys to give up a day close to Christmas. And I was like, they've worked really hard. This has got to be a paid day. It's such good bonding. And this is why I reckon you should have it honestly late November or early December, because
it has to be
on the 21st something's going to come up. Betty's going to want a couple of pendants installed, you know, so they smack her head over the Christmas break while she's chopping the ham on the dining table, right? But it's like something's going to come up, you know, something's going to come up, so get it out of the way early. Also, when morale gets built in the company and you're bonding, there's a really good couple of weeks or even a month after that where everyone's like, oh, I remember like I think I shared this on the podcast a year ago, but one of my guys, Geordie, got he actually passed out in the toilet at this really, really nice
that Flash restaurant.
And it was literally like everyone was talking about it for ages. And although that's actually not that funny when you get older and you're like, actually that's pretty disrespectful to everyone involved, it's still a little bit funny, right? But that kind of stuff, that's like folklore in the company. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just really good bonding time for after that. I would also tell everyone to go to everyone's Christmas party. Anyone that you get invited, a builder's Christmas party, a client Christmas party, I'm a massive believer that you should go to every Christmas party you're invited to. It's such a festive time of year. Don't be too busy to break bread with people. If you think about long-term clients, they all involve the same thing, a healthy relationship. How do you build that healthy relationship and foster it? working together and chatting's good, but when you're not working and you're going to the footy together, or you're talking about something, or you're bonding over some delicious seafood lunch, that's fantastic. Like, don't neglect that. The relationships are the things that will actually stand the test of time in business. Once you've got a good relationship and something comes up, you'll be able to be, hey, that invoice is more expensive than we said, it's going to be this. Hey, do you reckon you can pay that invoice earlier, like we said before? You can say things. You can say, what's the word I'm looking for? You can ask more of people you know well, pretty much. So if you know them well, you can be like, oh, can you just help us out with this ruffian? Like, help us out with this job. I need another week at this current job. Is that okay? And, if you're always putting someone off, expect a slap in the face politely. But the more you get to know someone, the more you can work together and the more you can help each other out when you need something. So that's huge for me. Also, to highlight, I know we talked about the invoices potentially not getting sent, and I want to touch base on that someone has to be on call over the break. Like, if that's you, it has to be you, but maybe the goal for next year is not you. Now, you've got to think about a couple of things over the break. It's about who you service, right? So coming into over the break, or let me go where I was going to go first. So if you can't get your invoices out on time and you might be like, I need an admin. So that might actually highlight that you need an admin. So coming into December, or now, you might need to basically ramp up the admin offload, right? Side note, we've just introduced Sparky BA to our company, where we basically script everything for you, so how everything should look, and then we offload it to an admin, and then see you later. It's just done. How good. But coming into the break, if you've got 4 or 5 staff, it might highlight the need that you need a phone system to actually, forward the calls from here to there. Maybe you're looking at 3CX or maybe Podium or something like that to get your phones running. But so it'll highlight basically your process or system shortage, definitely. But on the break, the reason I'm massively passionate that someone should be sort of servicing that gap is because a couple of things here. A lot of clients don't stop. So for us, we used to work for this bakery who literally baked bread on Christmas Day. Like, it was just another day for them. It was a standard Wednesday. Like, that's just what they did. So I remember for us, we had to change these lights in this freezer on Christmas Eve, and there was like, it sounds silly to even talk about. There was 4 or 5 people at this job because we wanted to get it in and out as quickly as we could. I'm talking like full freezer gear on because you couldn't leave anything open. You're talking about scissor lifts, like people handing people things, and like interchanging crews because it got too cold in there, like all this kind of stuff. But like, they didn't care if it was Christmas. It wasn't Christmas Eve for them. It was baking day. They baked stuff, and that was what they did. So it's like, if your clients don't stop. So if your clients keep going and you're not available, then who will they use? If they use someone else and that someone else is bad, hey, you look great. But if they use someone else and someone else is good, or let's face it, someone else could be a little bit better than you, and maybe not on the tools, I know, because you're an absolute weapon, am I right? But maybe they're a little bit more organised, a little bit more scheduled, a little bit more like invoices on time, a little bit more they turn up when they say they're going to turn up, a little bit better on the back end, right? Crazy. So it's like that could happen. So you risk losing a good client just because just because you're I'm not stuff that. It's a break, it's my holiday, So
Yeah.
So something you work so hard for, something you would have, chopped your leg off for in October, you're now in late December going like, I'll throw it away. So, you want that client, we need that client that works through and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, you've got that, and now you're throwing it away because you're tired and frustrated and angry. And probably the reason I'm a massive believer, if you're like 0 to 2 staff, maybe that's you flying the flag, but like maybe the goal is for next year, someone else is flying the flag. And maybe flying the flag for you is you're still going on holidays, but you might have to answer the phone and get back to some things at certain times. So maybe flying the flag is not like, getting in your work shirt at 7 a.m. and just waiting for someone to call. Maybe flying the flag looks a bit different to that, but like, don't just throw away what you've worked so hard to start building. It's my 2 cents. Thoughts, Cam?
One other thing I think that's really important to have a look at around toward the end of the year, moving all your non-urgent jobs into January. So identifying
3 podcasts on January coming up, I reckon.
Identifying, like having a look at December, even in November as well, but having a look to the end of the year and be like, hey, this doesn't need to be done now. We'll dive more into this in part 3 around like how amazing it is by coming back to a full January, and how being prepared makes a massive difference and basically sets up your year. But I think just being really aware of like, hey, is this an urgent job that needs to be done? And a lot of that can also come down communicating with your client. And this is where it's really, really cool that when you have good relationships with your clients, that you can communicate with them to have that conversation around it. But yeah, having a look at, what can be moved. And I think it makes a massive difference because, again, it can be that little bit of a pressure relief valve of like, oh, I've got to get this job done. It's like, no, I don't have to get the job done. We can get that done in January. And as opposed to scrambling for work in January, you've already got some work scheduled in. So that's sort of the last, I guess, little jigsaw piece to go into the puzzle around what to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, the January sessions coming up, so exciting. So I guess my final wrap for like coming in at the end of the year is finish the year well. So schedule it out, plan that, make all the phone calls, touch base with people. If you need work for the next couple of weeks, send a text campaign, email campaign. If you need a template for that, just reach out to me. So just try and stack the work. Try and stack the work to Christmas, but leave some gaps. Really, really important, right? Make sure you got a finish time of what's happening at the end of the year. Make sure you got a start time when you're coming back. Make sure someone's on call. Make sure you've currently got a system in place where your invoices are going out weekly. Now, to highlight this, it might not actually be your fault that the invoices aren't going out weekly. Well, it's definitely your fault that invoices aren't going out weekly, but it might be the fact that you're at capacity. You're at 30 hours over here and 30 hours in this, and you don't have the extra 10 to 14 hours to do the invoices, and or 8 to 14 hours or 4 to 8 hours, whatever it is. You don't have that time because you're quote unquote busy. And if you're too busy to send invoices, I reckon you're just too busy. That's probably the first and foremost thing. So you've got to change what you're doing, and maybe someone else can do it and prepare it and get it ready for you. Super interesting. So part 2 done, part 3 coming up soon. Thanks for hanging out. Cam and Crowie here, Sparky Coach. Peace be with you. Have the best day ever. See you guys soon.
Catch ya.